you want to know what's going on. So I already accepted Elisa, but for some reason,
I'm
this is
here.
not happening.
It
Now
is.
she's
It
here.
is.
Now
I'm
she's here. Now she's
here.
here. Okay, perfect. So, Elisa, how are you doing? And tell us everything that you know
Well, I can tell
about
you what I know.
the market in Toronto for July 2020.
Well, yes, yes, and it's not only my experience; it's experience for the entire industry. As you know, the market it's really slow right now, and this is not a surprise. It is the end of summer, right? And August
Exactly.
traditionally it's busy
It's
with people.
traditional. Yeah, it's
They,
actually very good that you mention it because, everybody's panicking and everybody's just like, oh my God, it is so slow. And yes, of course, it is slow because the months of summer, nobody wants to know. Everybody wants to enjoy the sun. Remember, we are in Canada. Everybody is more worried about, going outside, having a good time. And then September comes, the weather starts to get chill, and then it's back to business. So,
yes, yes,
so
yes.
please, Elisa, put our mind at ease and tell us all you know about the market right
Of
now.
course, and for those who are spending their first summer here in the beautiful Toronto in this area, so you might have noticed already that people are really just chilling out, taking it slow. As Carla mentioned, August is traditionally busy with people taking their last vacation away from the city before school starts early September. So the movement is slow. However, it's slower than any typical August. Is rather slower than that. Again, because of all the adjustment we have been having in the market. So we may be starting to see some positive impact from the two Bank of Canada rate cuts announced in June and July. However, as you know, bonds are all over the place right now and hard to predict 100%. But as more buyers take advantage of more affordable mortgages payments during this fall, they will benefit from a substantial buildup in inventory, meaning that there will be much more homes on the market. And then because they're going to come out to replenish this market and start buying, we are expecting that it will flatten up for a couple of months, meaning that there will be not much more for sale. However, what I mean is as inventory is reduced,
Okay.
market conditions should tighten with no substantial increase in home competition, leading to price growth. So remember, right now we don't have that competition. So now we have in many niches, we have a balanced market. In some neighborhoods, we even have a buyer's market, or a buyer's market instead of a balanced market. So we're expecting this in some places, in some communities, to get to the end this fall and forward, meaning the buyers are going to come back. They're going to start buying. Inventory is going to lower. Therefore, the demand is going to be higher, and the prices are going to start slowly to adjust higher. And I don't mean like increase, because we by no means this year and last year we haven't seen any increase like we traditionally have seen for the last 15 20 years. And we're going to review at the end a beautiful graph, and we're going to comment on it, Carla and I, with what is happening. So let's jump into the market watch for July 2024. Oh, you're there. Sure, I just want to see my beautiful photo from Toronto first. There you go. Okay, for those who are in Instagram, you cannot see our information here, but please feel free to subscribe in our YouTube channel so you can receive notifications of a future live video we are gonna be holding. And please know you can see the graphs either on LinkedIn, on YouTube, or on our Facebook pages. So I just will elaborate a little bit further for those on Instagram who are not able to see the graphs. But basically, what we are looking at here are some bars comparing July 2024 versus July 2023, and we can see that the properties, the activity has increased. We have a little bit more sales for 5,220 homes sold in the GTA to 5,391. And the average price comparing those 2 years has decreased slightly from 1,116,000 to 1,106,000.
Wow.
Yes, so we have
Not too much. Not, like what it means to me here. I'm just gonna give my humble opinion. I think the market is definitely not moving here, but it is actually good news because what people were expecting is for these actually being a lot lower than they are in this precise moment.
I know people are expecting, telling me it's gonna crash, it's gonna go bad. What's happening in the US? We're gonna review the graph, and you guys gonna understand it all. So be patient with us. This presentation is built in such a way that organically it's gonna move you towards that conclusion that you're gonna get by yourself. So let's see the following graph. I took this month. I decided to include comparing not only July 2024 versus July 2023, but also comparing this month versus the previous month, because we're living in 2024. We're not living in the past year any longer. So we would like to see what's happening currently in the last 2-3 months, right? So as I mentioned, the transactions actually comparing year to year increased 3.3%, but we are comparing July 2024 versus June 2024. Instead of having that 3.3% increase, it had a 1.7 decrease, almost 2% in the number of transactions. And this is naturally taking you to that summer vibe, right? Because we're talking here July. I am really curious what exactly August numbers will have to roll out for us, but I think it was a really dramatic August so far because of so many people being in panic, especially sellers that are listing their homes, they are releasing their homes. But it's a different strategy to take right now, different criteria if you are selling your home. So you can do it successfully. And patience, the word is the patience. It's not that your property is going to collapse like in 2010 or 9 in the US, that your property is going to collapse 75%. That is not happening here. Okay. And I say it for sure. So if we see the next slide, let's see what's happening here. Yeah, and the average selling price, when we compare in both years, it was almost negligible, 0.9% decrease in the entire year in the price when it was lowered. Now, when we compare July this year versus just last month in June, the increase was only 0.1%. That is really negligible as well, because we don't know exactly what kind of high-end properties were sold that skewed this percentage a little bit. So we're going flat here. So if you were still thinking last year, should I buy, should I not buy, should I wait, the prices are going to go low, we really, and you must have heard it from the news and from any other sources, we are expecting actually the price to start adjusting higher eventually. So
Elisa,
right?
Yeah, Elisa,
Yeah.
I think I would like you to position this to our audience. If you are a seller, will you sell your home right now?
I'm going to tell you that it depends. It depends really on the communities you are looking, because some communities are very active now and some ones are not. Then you have different niches of buyers. Depending on the community, just looking at the community or the neighborhood, I can tell if this is a community for first-time home buyers or for people who are looking to upgrade their homes, right?
Okay.
So first-time home buyers, I have seen there's movement. Regular movement. But if you are selling and buying, they are still sitting on the fence sometimes, because since they saw all this time, all these months, the market slowing down. Imagine if you're the seller and you want to buy another property, you say, well, if I sell, how long is it going to take if I want to buy my next property? And there's not enough inventory. What exactly I'm going to buy? So the question is, what is the strategy you need to set up right now, and what are your expectations? That's all. Because before it was so easy. You say, I'm going to sell my home in 7 days, it was sold. In 3 more weeks you bought, and you were done, right? Because you could predict the timing exactly down to the T what you wanted to do. Right now it's different. So yes, we have sellers on the market, but since they know what they have to take into account, they decide, okay, yeah, I will do it right now with all the things you have explained to us, with all the criteria we need to take into consideration. And others have said, I'm going to wait a few more weeks because I would like to take the different strategy you explained to me.
Of
So
course.
everything is doable in every market. Is just what you need. We need to manage is the expectation of the seller and help them to achieve what they want within that specific strategy. That's all. So again, like we
So
always say, Carla,
we
you
come
always
we
repeat
come
the
down
term.
we come down to again to it all depends on your particular situation. That's
Yes.
there are so many ways to tackle one situation, and not everything applies to you. And what Elisa does is basically analyze your situation and make sure that that you guys take into consideration what's going on in the market, what's going on in your particular area. And you know what, like that you have a strategy where you can actually sell. So there is no right or wrong timing. This is what I am getting from Elisa. It is about your strategy, and it's about what is your main goal. So
Yeah.
contact her, and if she sees that definitely is not the right time for you to sell, then she's going to tell you, you know what, let's wait for a
And
couple of months, or let's wait a week, or don't do any movement until I tell you so.
And the answer is on the next slide, actually. If you go to the
Okay.
next slide, we can see actually how many homes have been put for sale. So if we compare July 2024 versus July 2023, we can see a number of new listings increased almost 19% from year to year. However, if we compare July this year versus June, it decreased 5%. You
Ah.
see? So yeah, that's exactly what it is. Sellers are also looking at the market, especially the people who are buying to upgrade their homes. They are just sitting and watching because they are unsure if they're going to be able to purchase that property they love within that time frame, because it's much more complicated. You need to adjust more dates when you are doing two different transactions, right? Selling and buying at the same time. So you see, you can see that reflected here. However, 5% is not that deep, as as the media speculates is happening. Okay. And again, I'm talking here, we're covering the entire GTA. So as you know, north of Pickering, it behaves completely different as Burlington, Markham, Mississauga, or downtown Toronto, right?
Yes.
So again, when you are
This
ready
is
to
very,
sell,
very, very general, is what
I
she's trying
know,
to
yeah.
say.
So if you're ready to sell, let's go to your niche. Where are you exactly located? And we can run the numbers and try to do some predictions to see what you could expect, and you'll make your last decision when to do it. And this is what I want to discuss. Thank you so much for bringing the graph up. Those in Instagram, unfortunately, you cannot see what we're looking at here, but I'm going to try to be the most descriptive I can. So actually, I wanted to run some numbers of the sales price. This is sales prices that we have been experiencing in the last 10 years. So the graph actually 20 years from 2005 all the way to 2024. So we have here the traditional Torontonian GTA movement. Every year we're expecting prices to go up, and we have that beautiful curve going up from 2005 all the way to 2015-16, and then we have a sudden increase, right, in 2016-17. Remember 2017? Now I have a flashback that was a long time ago, but the prices also,
It was
I mean, in one day.
2008, 2011, 2017. We all were freaking out that the bubble, the bubble, the bubble, the bubble.
Right, and I
Now,
remember that was really brutal. That was even worse than what happened in
I
2022,
know
because I remember even flippers would buy a home, not do anything
it
to the
was
property
painful.
at all, not even do a single improvement, and resell it in 3 months and get and have appreciation on that property. It was really wild. And then what we have there again, a dip. There was again a forced adjustment that it was done to the market, and again we're slowly going up. But unfortunately, then we had the pandemic which didn't expect, and the market behaved very, very differently, to the point that on 2022, like many of you know, the houses, all the properties were selling really, really high, to the point again Canada was worried that we were gonna probably get again into a real bubble, which again it was salvaged. Some things were enforced, were put into the market, and then the inflation even went back in after that, and it helped also to all the mix we have nowadays. But if you can, so do not consider, if you're planning to put your home on sale, skip your blessings, skip the year 2022, skip it, and also maybe a little bit of 2021, but skip that year entirely, because the prices were too high. So it's not okay to have that high expectations. Why? Because not only as a seller agent or a buyer agent, I'm telling you this, because the banks, when they send the appraiser, that's what will be considering as well. So always I try to think for my clients how the bank will try to think in terms of how they're gonna say this home, this is the value of the home. This is very important.
Literally, I can tell you that the bank doesn't look at what's going on, what happened in 2022. It looks at the last 90 days. Last
Exactly.
90 days behavior of the market is the one that dictates the market price. So yeah, no, thank you so much for this, Elisa. This is really, really helpful.
Wait, go back a little bit, because I want to mention where we are, because now we said we were really high, and now we dipped, right? We dipped in the prices, but you can see from the graph, broadly speaking, how 2023 and part of 2024 have the same momentum. As I mentioned, that 0.1 or 0.9, it's negligible, it's really, really flat. And what is telling us this, and those people who buy stocks and are on the on this kind of industry, what happens when something gets you're waiting for that rebound. You are waiting, when you studying the graph, you're waiting for that rebound, and that's what we are expecting pretty soon. And I mentioned when we started this live that probably is not going to happen right away.
What you're saying is that you're optimistic of the market at this particular time. Nobody knows, but you are optimistic at this point, given the fact that right now the chart is flat.
Right. And that's what it's telling me. Now, right now, if you're a buyer, I would encourage you to speed up and have your pre-approval done. I mean, you can have that locked in from 90 to 120 days. So wait what's going to happen if you want, but you will be actively locked in, and you will have all your paperwork ready. And if you are a seller that you have to sell, or you're selling now and you're buying now, you will sell and buy on the same market conditions. So if you sell a little bit from what you expected, you're also going to buy for that little bit less of what the other seller expected. So it's okay. Just, it's not going to happen in 7 days right now. But they say in fall it's going to increase a little bit more. Maybe 2 more months we're going to be in this balanced market. But boy, people are saying that spring of 2025 will be a different story. And now, why is this just so different to predict, difficult to predict? We have so many international variables right now, including the elections in the US in this November. So everybody's just watching. I know, right?
They're
Yeah.
crashing. Yeah,
All
no,
right.
literally, guys. I follow as well the market very closely because I need to know. I need to know because I need to make sure that my clients get the absolute best rate. And the only way for me to ensure that that happens is when I follow closely the market. So one thing that I've been watching is that the bond market right now is very volatile, and there are so many, like literally, there's so many news about everything, and some of them are very optimistic, some of them are very realistic, and some of them are just like, don't even pay attention to that. But
You are so politically correct. I love when you said they are so realistic. That is so politically correct. Yes, yes, yes.
yeah, because at the end of the day, when there are so many things taken into consideration and not only one, literally, you can have a better picture of what exactly is going on. But what I can tell you guys right now is that if you are like refinancing, or if you are renewing your mortgage at this precise moment, do it in advance. And also, if you are buying a home, you need to be prepared. You want a good rate, and you want a good lender right now, because we don't know what's going to happen in the future. We don't know if the rates are going to go up or they are going to go down, but you have to be prepared for everything. And there are mortgages that, even if they are fixed rates, they charge a lot less, for example, penalties. And we want to make sure that you are in such mortgages, because if they go as low as 2% or 3%, we want to make sure that you are taking advantage of that. So keep that in mind when you are doing anything with your mortgage, whether you're buying, selling, or doing whatever it is. Just keep in mind that.
Yes, absolutely, Carla. Thank you for that explanation. I loved it. And in fact, when you are looking at the news, I would like to see the next slide now. This is the next slide is specific to the city of Toronto. I have heard people when they are reading, sales have decreased, or sales have decreased or increased.
Yeah.
You have to really pay attention and read that article again, because you don't know if they are referring to the number of sales or the actual selling price has increased and decreased. And sometimes they just referring to the number of sales. And you see, this is a healthy graph. I mean, after all that, what happened during these 2 years, the average selling price in Toronto has increased 2% when we compare these 2 months from both years. And the number of sales also increased 5.3%. So, yeah, we're not going down. There's no crash here. Again, those who have been in a very stubborn way, just sitting and watching for several years. I mean, after a pandemic, after the inflation, after what's happening in the international politics, Toronto and the GTA, it's holding. It's holding right there. I just wanted to mention, when we are comparing this graph in Toronto, please understand that this is just a generic number. So if you would like to know more about what's happening, it depends if you live in Toronto East, if you're living in Toronto West. Prices are comparing differently. The speed at which everything is selling, it also is very, very different. For example, in Toronto East, we have had an increase in selling price of almost 2%. However, in Toronto West, we had a decrease in price of more than 7%. So you see, even though it's Toronto, depending on where you are, East and West, the market is going to behave very differently. And again, the golden downtown Toronto, full of condos, also there, the prices for another month have decreased at 2%.
I feel,
an average price of $761,000, which again, it's a really good number for the last following 2 years if you're a first-time home buyer, if you're an investor.
Yes, I feel like right now the condo market is a completely different market.
Yeah.
Just like all together, it's just like what's going on here. But
Yes.
you mentioned something very interesting that I think you should repeat. But when we were doing it in Spanish, you were mentioning that, right now, there are so many things going on, and there is a crisis in the condo market, but definitely is something that you should take advantage, because there is a rebound almost that is going to be happening soon, or is what I understood. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, definitely the condo market is a completely different niche. It should not be treated as in generic as the freehold real estate market. It's completely different environment. And as you know, many buildings in downtown Toronto are purchased by investors, and they're purchased by blocks, right? And right now also they are sitting to wait what's going to happen, because unfortunately, if you're an investor, your payments, your expenses have increased tremendously. Land, property taxes, maintenance fees, and other fees have definitely increased a lot. So many are waiting what's going to happen. And not only the interest rates also are higher when you're purchasing as an investor than when you're purchasing for your own residence, right? When you are acquiring a mortgage. So that also are big factors. But if you are buying to live as a first-time home buyer, or is your first investment, do not hesitate to buy a resale condo, because right now resale condos is much more better investment. The price per square footage, as if you were going to buy pre-construction, definitely 100%. We can run all the numbers and make comparative tables, because what before some years ago used to do the pre-con market, they would sell a property, let's say on paper, for $500,000. It would appraise for you on the paper, and you could assign it before occupancy for, I don't know, $650,000 or $700,000. What they are doing now, they are selling you that pre-con on paper, forecasting how much it's going to cost by occupancy. But what if they make but it's so hard, because you cannot really predict a market from here to 3 years to 5 years. It's so hard. So if you really analyze,
like sometimes the predictions can be like based on past years, that like literally when the market was increasing much rapidly. And I have to say here too, that especially for investors, I'm talking about investors right now, because like I feel like there is like this dream that, like of course you want to jump and buy these properties, and why not, but you have to be realistic with the budgets, because when you are closing a property that is in resale, is a lot different than when you are buying pre-construction. And pre-construction,
and you lived it in your own family, right?
Yes, 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 yes. HST rebate can be applicable only to people who are renting their unit. But if you're only buying in paper and selling in paper, there is taxes involved. There is $24,000 that you're not gonna get back, that you could get back if you actually rent it.
Yeah.
So all those
and you
details.
Can compare. And you can compare if you're planning to buy a pre-con in some area and you see there's a building next to it, and sometimes from the same developer. Just compare the price per square footage. Whatever they're doing now, it's so different. Right now, it's really much more economical to buy just a resale condo. And on top of that, there's no hidden cost anywhere. You know what you're buying. Everything is disclosed. And if you're an investor, you can just put that condo on rent right away.
Exactly.
When you pay pre-construction and then you take occupancy, some buildings will not even allow you to rent during occupancy.
Exactly. So,
and
that's very important.
There are many, but anyway, everything is doable. Everything can be done in the market. So if you have any interest in any kind of investment, reach out so we can explore your options, and we can just run the numbers so you can make an informed decision. And that's what
that's
Carla
right.
and I are doing here in Real Estate Meets. So you know exactly what's going to happen versus what those headlines are telling you in big, bold letters that are very punctual, and it doesn't reflect the story of you, right?
Mhm. Yeah, thank you so much, Elisa. I truly appreciate it. Awesome presentation. Thank you so much.
You're
And
welcome.
remember, guys, everything is literally designed by the specific transaction that you need to do, a specific situation that you are going through. So feel free to reach out, either Elisa or myself, because we're here to help. Thank you so much. And
Thank
we'll
you.
see you next week. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.